Nation Collective that is comprising the ethnic nationalities that represent the Lower Niger area. The Lower Niger area is what the area currently called the Southeast and the South-South. If you cast your mind back a little bit, it is the area called the Eastern region and the Midwestern region. If you remember that as at independence, we had only 3 regions. You know, we had the Northern region, we have the Western region, and we had the Eastern region. And then in 1963, after a referendum and plebiscite, we had the Midwestern region. And so that Midwestern region is part of what has been balkanized and, you know, called the South-South, which is a very strange geographical cardinal point. I've never heard about that before. But anyway, Lower Niger Congress is a collective of people, indigenous ethnic nationalities from these 2 regions, Southeast and South-South, whose aim is essentially for the self-determination of the people from that area using the non-violent method of a referendum. And they have been working since 1999 till date, and they have done a lot. It is on record that the first ever solemn assembly to be organized in the history of Nigeria ever. The first solemn assembly ever to be organized in the history of Nigeria was done by the Lower Niger Congress on the 27th of April 2015. They are also part of the MNN alliance partners, which comprise this, the Middle Belt, the Southwest, and this same Lower Niger area, who have also organized what they call the Freedom Park Proclamation of December 11, 2018. And right now, their trajectory is on having a constitutional force majeure. That is what they are about to execute now. So the Lower Niger Congress is a collective of self-determination of the indigenous ethnic nationalities of the Lower Niger area.
Thank you. You mentioned about a Freedom Pact of 2018. Can you tell us what this Freedom Pact is all about, please?
Yes. First of all, I have to take your mind back to when all this started. You know, when suddenly we had a unitary constitution that was imposed on the people of Nigeria, which states that we, the people, having solemnly agreed, and it's a lie, because we, the people, never agreed. That preamble presupposes that we, the Igbos, we, the Jaws, we, the Ogonis, we, the Hausas, the Fulanis, the Jukuns, the Robo Shekiri, that we made that constitution, that we came together and solemnly agreed, and that never happened. And so the Lower Niger Congress, or people from that area, began to organize themselves, and did a countrywide consultations, and they agreed that that constitution is a fraud because it lied. Constitution, although we are going to go into that, Daniel, but I want to chip this in if you can allow me. A constitution has 2 steps. It composes of 2 things: agreement to form a union, and then the rules that govern that union. There was no agreement to form any union anywhere, and we never made that those rules. And so they had that consultation, and then from there they moved on to the point of forming, going to court. By the way, I think that was in 2007 to challenge the legitimacy of that constitution, because that constitution is a fraud. And the court couldn't, find an answer. And then, of course, they moved on to formation of the Movement for New Nigeria, which comprises these 3 blocks that I've talked about: the Lower Niger area, the Middle Belt, and then the Southwest. And then from there, they issued. They had that meeting on June 30th. They issued their statement June 30th, 2011, in which they mandated the various blocks to conduct the solemn assemblies. And so the Congress organized their own solemn assembly in 2015. Then in 2017, September 7, or September 9, if I'm not mistaken, I need to check out the date. The Yoruba side, they also had their solemn assembly at Adamasingba Stadium in Ibadan. That was 2017. Then in 2008, the Middle Belt had their own solemn assembly. They called the Makurdi Declaration. And all of them, in all of these, they all rejected and repudiated the 1999 Constitution as the basis for the Union, because it's a fraud, because it lied that we made it and we never made it. And so, after after having conducted their various assemblies, solemn assemblies, they now came together again to issue that Freedom Pact proclamation, which is now going to your answer. I mean, a question you asked me. And in that Freedom Pact proclamation, they once more reinforced their stand that the current constitution is a fraud, that it was not made by the people. A constitution is not something written by 1 or 2 persons. It's something by the citizens. It's made by the people. And we did not make it. And it was imposed. Several people have talked about it. So that was part of the Freedom Pact proclamation. And that henceforth, that the conducting of election is a way to renew that fraudulent document. And therefore, they declared and agreed that they will not, be part of any election. And even if you go ahead to conduct, because then it was close to 2019 election, that it will not be of any use, because whoever is going, whoever won or whoever wins will have to subscribe to Schedule 7 of that Constitution, which is the oath of office and the oath of allegiance. And you are swearing oath of office and allegiance to preserve, to protect, and to keep a document that is a fraud. And so they made that Freedom Pact proclamation, disavowing and rejecting and repudiating once again collectively, after having done it as individual, as blocks, the fraudulent 1999 Constitution. And now they have gone beyond that point now, to the point where they are now going to have constitutional force majeure in place.
Thank you very much. I understand that the Lower Niger Congress, you have touched on it already. The Lower Niger Congress does not agree that the 1999 Constitution is valid. But for a country to exist, there should be a ground norm. That is the basis for the government of that country to function. Now, if the 1999 Constitution is not valid, what do you think is the ground norm for the government of Nigeria to carry out any activity at all?
That is why the LNC and the MNN partners. By the way, let me make a further clarification, because people may misunderstand this. At this point, when that Freedom Pact, and that's a vital aspect of it that I left out, and I apologize for that. At that point of Freedom Pact proclamation, it was no longer an LNC or MNN activity. It becomes what is called the NINAS. NINAS. Please, I need you to take this down, Daniel. NINAS. Nigeria, N for Nigeria, I for indigenous, N for nationality, A for alliance, and the S for self-determination. So NINAS or NINAS is Nigerian Indigenous Nationality Alliance for Self-Determination. They are the ones that were responsible for the freedom. It was a platform for that Freedom Park proclamation. And it is also going to be the platform for this upcoming constitutional force majeure. Now, going to what you back to the question you asked me, the MNN alliance partners under the platform of NINA have now decided that yes, we are not going to have a vacuum. We're not going to have a vacuum. I agreed. The 1999 constitution is a fraud, but it is a grand norm, like you said. The constitutional force majeure is saying that no problem. The president should still be in place. The minister should be there. The governor should be there. It's trying to replicate like what we had in South Africa. Remember in South Africa when they formed the CODESA, if you remember that, Daniel, the CODESA was a transitioning body that now was able to come up with the South African constitution. The apartheid government did not vanish while CODESA was there. The apartheid constitution did not vanish. The apartheid constitution was still there. The apartheid government was still there. But they had a CODESA, which, prepared the road and then transitioned into South Africa, and then the apartheid constitution and government were all, shown the way out. So going back to what you're saying, yes, they will still have their president, their governors, their ministers, but there will be a transitioning body that will now go into the process of constitution making. Which starts, let me say that, because before people misunderstand me that, oh, we want a new constitution, it will start with a referendum. There must be a referendum to find out if the ethnic nationality, if the constituent parts of Nigeria are still interested in continuing with the union. Then those who agree to continue will now begin to work out, like they say in Christianity, their salvation with fear and trembling. They will continue to work out their agreement. Those who are opting out will be allowed to opt out, because a union is not supposed to be something you do under a duress. It's not supposed to be something you do by force. So answering your question, yes, there will still be the current governance structure in place, but there will be a transitioning body that will, smoothen things out, organize a referendum, and then do other things that need to be done, and then we come back to a real either country or federation or union or whatever, instead of the current situation where things are done by imposition and unitarism.
Okay, who are the signatories to this Freedom Pact? I would have asked who organizes the referendum, but we will get to that. Maybe I'll ask the two questions together. One, who are the signatories to this Freedom Pact you had in 2018? And then secondly, who will organize this referendum you have just mentioned here?
If you give me a minute, I'm trying to pull my system out now because I have the document. Just give me 1 second. I'm trying to get it out because I know I saved it somewhere. Just give me 1 moment. System is very slow.
That's okay.
System is very slow. I want to pull up the Freedom Pact proclamation. Okay, here you go. I think I've seen it now. Give me 1 second. I'll pull it up. Okay, here you go.
Yep.
All the names, or you want me to read out the
Well, if you can give us the names or whichever way you want to go about it, because our listeners would like to know who are they.
All right. On behalf of Nina, the following person signed from the Yoruba artist. That's what we have architect George Akiona, Otumba Shade Olukoya, Olorogun Babatunde Adebanjo, Are Dr. Kunle Oshodi, Otumba Deji Osibogun, Mrs. Bunin Abidogun. On the Lower Niger area, we have Dr. Fred Aboyewe, TK Ogoriba, Masha Konun, Oki Galatei, Presido Gomorai, Bafo Amatesiri, Julius Otiri, Uchenna Mado, Samuel Edison, Dr. Uduma Idika, Okechukwu Oji, Engineer Innocent Amadi, Dr. Stanley Aja, Tony Nadi. Then on the Middle Belt side, we have Abuka Onalo Esquire, Sokwa Mohammed, Caleb Nanship, Sunday Joshua Abaka, Edward Ubwa, Shuaib Abalaka, Abdullahi Banire, Itodo Peter, Frank Ombugadu, and Joseph Oloche.
Okay. Now, the next arm of this question is, how do you intend to achieve this referendum? Who will organize it?
Of course, the referendum will be a UN supervised and UN managed referendum. It's not, the matter is going to be something that the UN will be managing. And so, it is going to be, it will be conducted in Nigeria. It's not going to be abroad, but it's going to be a UN supervised and a UN, and the transitioning body that will be in place will also come up with the committee that will run the referendum. I hope you know that referendum for determining continuity of the union is not part of the Constitution. The only way you find referendum is in Section 8 of the Constitution, and that has to do with creation of additional states, and not for questioning or determining continuity of the union.
So under what legal axis now, under what legal grounds will you conduct a referendum if a referendum has not been provided for in our Constitution?
That is why we are calling it a constitutional force majeure, because you need to look at it holistically. A force majeure is when you say that you can no longer be, you can no longer consummate a contract. You're no longer willing to obey the terms of the contract.
So how do you intend to achieve that?
So that's what I'm saying. That's why I said the people that will be involved are the indigenous ethnic nationalities who are already on board.
How are they going to do that? That's my how are they going to do that?
That's what I'm saying. Yes, the ethnic nationalities will come together and make that demand, which is what's coming up.
How are they going to do that?
And I'm telling you that they're coming up to do that. You're telling me how. It's going to happen in Nigeria. It's not going to happen in thin air. You are still asking me again how. I said they are coming up to have that declaration. It's coming up in Nigeria. I want to say again that they will go to CNN. I don't understand your question.
Okay, my question presupposes the fact that the federal government of Nigeria now does not agree for this referendum to happen. The federal government of Nigeria now does not agree that the 1999 Constitution is valid. So how do you intend to force the federal government of Nigeria to agree to conduct this?
It is not going to be a matter of force, because the constitutional matter is not a matter for government. When it comes to lawmaking, yes, the representative can make the law. But when it comes to constitution, it's a matter of the citizens. It's a matter of the owners of the country. It's a matter of the constituents of the country. It is far above the government.
So who will okay? So who will invite the United Nations to come and conduct this referendum? Because we know that the United Nations cannot go into a country unless they are invited by the government in power, or unless there is a wholesale breakdown of law and order in the country. So who is going to invite?
There is not going to be any There is not going to be any breakdown of law and order.
So who is going to invite the United Nations to conduct?
Daniel, the United Nations is already in the know of what is going on, because these eminent partners are already in communication with various arms of the United Nations. So it is not a new thing. You are aware of the executive order by President Trump. That didn't just come on its own. It's because of the works being done by this assemblage of the distressed part of the Nigerian Union.
What executive order are you talking about? Please enlighten our listeners. What?
The president, there's a Trump executive order on religious persecution.
What does it say?
So it was signed this year. I'm sure you're aware of that.
Yes, yes.
On Elombah.
Yeah, but maybe our listeners may not be aware. So I'm only asking for you to explain to our listeners what executive order signed by Trump are you talking about?
The one that you also know about, which has to do with religious persecution, because of what is going on all over the world, especially in Nigeria, where there is very serious. I'm sure you're aware of what is going on in Southern Kaduna and other places, though they may go ahead and cloak it under farmers, but we all know what it is. It is Islamization agenda, and similar other things. And so there were representation. There were things there were moves that were made by the eminent alliance partners, and it yielded fruit because they communicated through the right channel, and it resulted in what we are talking about now. And so that is the situation where we are.
Okay. Well, I'm aware that President Trump signed an executive order with regards to religious intolerance around the world. Will you please explain to us what roles were played by your movement that led to the inclusion of Nigeria in the list of countries of interest contained in that executive order signed by President Trump?
There was a congressional roundtable. But before I do that, let me. I think there's one Mazi okay here. Sorry, I'm not diverting for your question. It says Iroanya. My name is Mazi okay. My name is Iroanya. It's not Iroanya. There's an R. In fact, look at my name there on Zoom. You are on Zoom as well, Mazi okay. It is Iroanya. It is not Iroanya. The question is simple. How and what could the organization do to force the government if the government doesn't agree? They are not going to force anybody. I'm assuring you that the government is going to agree. There will be a transitioning body, and that transitioning body will organize a referendum in Nigeria to ask the constituent parties if they want to continue with the union in Nigeria. So I am assuring you that. So to come and be asking me how to force, nobody is going to force anybody anything, but it is going to happen. Now, back to your question. The MNN Alliance partners met with the Congressional Roundtable on Interreligious Freedom, IRF, and made their proposal and made all the recommendations and everything. And the contact person and those who have their contact in Capitol Hill and the administration and State Department were able to carry through what the recommendations and the presentations were, and then convinced the administration, and that resulted in that executive order.
But well, as we are aware, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu of the Indigenous People of Biafra organization has claimed credit for that executive order issued by President Trump that included Nigeria. They claim that it is as a result of the activities of IPOB and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that led to that executive order. Are you saying now that it is your own activity that led to the order, or that it is IPOB's activities that led to the order, or even that it is the activities of the Christian Association of Nigeria? Because we also know that CAN has also been raising a lot of hell about the killing of the Southern Kaduna people and the people of Middle Belt that happened in Nigeria. There also talks about that it is about the killing of Christians in northern Nigeria. So are you saying who actually worked for the inclusion of Nigeria into this executive order? Is it your organization? Is it Christian Association of Nigeria? Or is it IPOB?
Let me say two things here, and I want you to fact check that. Number one is that this whole thing is about protecting Christians. That's a fact you need to check, right? This whole thing we're talking about is mainly like the interreligious freedom. It's about protecting Christians and other religious bodies. Then number two is that the United States Committee on Inter-Religious Freedom, they released a report. Daniel, if you don't have that report, I will send it to you. They released a report, country by country. And when it came to Nigeria, they identified certain organizations as persecuting Christians. I repeat, that the USCIRF report 2020 indicted organizations as persecuting Christians. And lo and behold, do you know one of the organizations that was indicted in that report?
No.
IPOB. We are talking of the same organization that worked towards the executive order. The same organization indicted this one you are talking about now as persecuting Christians. It's right there. I will forward you, I will send it to your WhatsApp, the report I'm talking about. Unfortunately, I didn't print it out. I wasn't expecting you to go in this direction because, I mean, I was here to talk about Nigeria and also what.
I don't. Sorry, I
didn't want to go into comparative analysis with.
No. But I don't understand them, Mr. Iroanya. You are saying that this executive, this American report indicted IPOB as persecuting Christians in Nigeria. The IPOB led by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu.
I will send it to you on WhatsApp. Forward it to you, and I'll direct you to where it's settled. You begin to talk about it. That's why I didn't want to go into that route, because it's going to open up a lot of kind of worms.
Well, I don't think this program is called the hot seat, so we are not afraid of opening up a kind of worms. Okay. Now that we are on this level, I understand that you were formerly with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in IPOB. Can you tell us about your relationship with him?
Again, Daniel, I expected this interview to be about, Nigeria at Crossroads and if there are alternatives. Are we going to dismember? Are we going to remain at one? What do we need to do? I am not going to go into that direction of talking about other organizations or what transpired or something like that. So if you don't mind, I would want us to stay focused on the topic.
Okay, now Nigeria is at crossroads. What makes us believe? What do you think has led Nigeria to this situation now? And even, is it in fact true that Nigeria is at crossroads? Because that is fundamental to the topic. Is it true that Nigeria is at crossroads? And if they are, what has led us to this impasse?
Exactly. Nigeria is undoubtedly on a crossroad. And it all started in 1966 when the military made their incursion into Nigerian space in terms of governance. And with all the things that happened then, especially Decree 14 of Gowon in 1967, that abolished the regions That's where all the problems started. You know, you and I know what happened, you know, declaration of Biafra, the war and all that. And since then, you know, things have gone from bad to worse, from frying pan to fire. So we have a situation where, you know, somebody will sit down and write a constitution and impose it on the other, and then expressly say that a country is indivisible and, you know, indivisible. And that you cannot, you know, divide the country. At the same time, acknowledging, you know, having a law in terms of Cap A9, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, where Article 20 there says that the indigenous people, they have the right to self-determination. But in the Constitution, that is torpedoed by Section 2, subsection 1. And so you also have a situation where, you know, the assets and the rights of the citizen are seized. If you go to Section 79 of the 1963 Constitution, it's very clear there. Something like electricity is the absolute control of the regions. If you go to Section 141 and 140 of the same 1963 Constitution, the revenue allocation and everything is clearly spelled out. Minerals and everything, 50% go to the owner before we begin to talk of you know, giving something to the center. And so the whole situation becomes, you know, a very chaotic, such that, you know, the country is kind of lopsided. And now you have a constitution that says that there shall be no state religion at state level and federal level in Section 10. In the meantime, Section 260 to 264 exclusively reserved for Sharia system. You have a situation where Nigeria is a ranking member. I didn't just say a member, a ranking member of the Organization of Islamic Countries. Forget about what they call it, Islamic whatever. It's Islamic countries. What I see. Why should that be? Is in violation of the same. I'll tell you why. Yeah, I was trying to tell you why we are at a crossroad. And so we in the 1999 Constitution, you have Section 4, Subsection 2, and Schedule 2, Part 1, which seized all the assets we have, made it impossible for us to control our assets, to control our security, to control and build our infrastructure. Everything is centralized. And so it is anti-development. And by the way, to even start with, there has to be an agreement to a union before you begin to talk about the rules that govern that union. The question now is, let us tell ourselves the truth. If we conduct a referendum today, can we beat our heart and say that all the ethnic nationalities, all the constituent components of Nigeria, we say that they agree for us to coexist as a nation? Is there anybody here who is among the people that logged in this Zoom, plus those who are watching us live all over the world? Can anybody beat his heart and say yes, that all the ethnic nationalities will say yes, that they want to continue in this kind of lopsided union, where it is only the Northerners and outside planning Northerners people that are qualified to be EFCC chairman? That it is only in the northern part of the country that you have 95% of the military institutions till date. That they started what they called a quota system, whereby if a child scores 3 from Zamfara to a federal institution, that child, or even in recruitment or whatever, if there's an exam, that child will be qualified, or that candidate will qualify. Whereas somebody from some part of the country scores well more than 70 to 80%, still will not be able to make it. And you are telling me this is a country, and they started this in the 60s, in the 70s. Is it not supposed to have have a time frame? Daniel, can you do affirmation, whatever, forever? It doesn't go that way. And so we cannot, this is not, it's not sustainable. What is electricity generation, for goodness sake? I'm an engineer. I know what it is to generate electricity. Nigeria has the 6th largest gas reserve in the world. All you need to do is to get that gas, scrub it, compress it, and send it to a turbine. It's as simple as that. But when these things are done, left in the hands of the federal government, it's not going to work. And why is it in the hands of federal government? Because there is a social contract, aka the constitution, written by some group of persons, which in this provision, section 4, subsection 2, created what is called exclusive use, and in schedule 2, part 1, included electricity generation, transmission, and distribution as under the control of the federal government. So when you look at all these things in every aspect of life, you find out that I don't even want to go into security. I don't want to, because that one is just for everybody to see. You see that Nigeria is really at a crossroad. And we have come to that point where we begin to ask ourselves, is this really, do we really think it is feasible for us to be in a union? We need to ask ourselves that question. In fact, that is the fundamental, that is where we start. Should we be in a union? In the first, must we all be in a union? If not, then let's those who don't want to be in that union go their way. And then if we must be in a union, then what are the terms of the condition? Are we going to be in a union of equal partners? Or are we going to be in a union of master-slave relationship? So that is the situation. And that's why I said I totally agree that Nigeria is at crossroad. Completely crossroad. 100% crossroad.
Our listeners, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us so far. From this point on, you are free to indicate whether you want to ask a question. Simply indicate on the device, and I will call you up to ask a question or make a brief contribution. If it's a question, fine. If it's a contribution, then please keep it to less than 1 minute. Now, my next question is, if Nigeria is at crossroads, what should be the solution from now on? What do you think the people of Nigeria can do to start solving their problems? Is it time for dismemberment? That is another second arm of our topic today. Is it time for dismemberment?
It's very simple. We are making this thing very complicated, Daniel. This is very simple. And your question is a very good one. What do we do? We start from the question of, can we find out if we should actually continue doing, all of us who owe it a duty of to kill me because I have a different philosophy or I have a different religion. And again, when you look at it, when we were, I mean, even when we were in a regional system, you find out that, you know, we progressed far better. We performed better than when we had a common center. And so the restructuring we are talking about is not going to help us at all. Because at the end of the day, you are going to have an omnibus federal government. You are still going to have somebody at the center. You're still going to have, I mean, when you want to restructure, how are you going to restructure it? Are you going to restructure it based on what? Because any restructuring you are going to do, by the way, let me say this as a matter of fact. I am saying this emphatically, that any restructuring you are going to do must be subjected to constitutional amendment. And please, anybody on this forum and anybody listening to me all over the world, I want you to do me a favor. Take 15 minutes, not more than 15 minutes. Go and read section 9 of Nigerian Constitution. Section 9 is the section that has to do with constitutional amendment. So any restructuring you are going to do will be subjected to as constitutional amendment, because anything that's not in the constitution must be brought into that constitution by way of amendment. It is right here in section 315 of the Constitution that every law must be brought in conformity with the Constitution of Nigeria. And so when you read section 9, you'll find out that if you are going to be involved in anything that is going to go against the political and economic interest of the North, my dear brother, let us tell our, because the greatest mistake and the greatest error anybody can do is to lie to himself. Let us not lie to ourselves. Let us tell ourselves the truth. If you want to do anything that is against the economic and political interest of the North, they are waiting for you in section 9. And so, even the restructuring we are talking about is not feasible, because it's going to be subjected to constitutional amendment. Therefore, the best option is for us to dismember and go our several ways. By the way, who is even afraid of forming their own nation? Is it us? Is it the Middle Belt, or is it the Southwest? Why are we don't need that. We don't even need we don't need that big amount of space to be a superpower, because I'm now going into the being a superpower. We don't need a big land mass. We don't even need a big population to be a superpower. When you talk about being a superpower, you talk about superpower economically and technologically. It's not just by population. Is India a superpower? India is not a superpower, but you know how many they are. And so there are other powerful countries that are doing well. What is Nigeria's economic index measurement? What do they have? Are there countries that are smaller by population, that are smaller by geographical footprint, and yet they are like paradise compared to Nigeria? And so, to answer your question directly, I am for total dismemberment, because we don't have a common value system, and we don't have to be as big as whatever to be a superpower.
A follow-up to this question by Mazi Ezeoke, unless he has a follow-up question. Mazi Ezeoke, do you have a follow-up question to this?
No, Dan, actually I don't.
Okay, so my follow-up question to this will be, well, even if the circumstances in Nigeria makes Nigeria ripe for dismemberment, are the people themselves ready for that? How do you intend to get even the people of the Lower Niger Congress to agree to the solution you are proposing, and then getting the rest of the Nigeria masses to agree to your proposals? How do you intend to do that?
The first part of your question is the way to do it is through referendum. That's the first answer to your question. Now, the second part of your question is that part of the NINAS, or call it MNN or NINAS program or agenda, is to conduct what is called charter of relationship, and also conduct in-house discussion. There will be an enlightenment period among the indigenous peoples of the various. So when the force majeure is declared, there will be a period for which, the various blocks will have to do their own internal consultations. It's called the charter of relationships. It may be easy for some, like the Yorubas. It may take quite some time and effort on Yoruba. The Yorubas they are monolithic, whereas the Lower Niger area and the Middle Belt they are heterogeneous. And so it will take some time to discuss and, come up with some form of understanding among the indigenous ethnic nationalities within that space. So yes, it's doable through referendum, and then there will be internal consultations and discussions among the ethnic nationalities within a given bloc. Of course, if some people say they want to continue the caliphate to be in their one Nigeria, that's no problem. It's freedom of choice.
I have followed your argument so far with keen interest. But the area where we need some clarification, please, is on this issue of, okay, we are aware that Nigeria have had constitutional conferences, and we know that there have been efforts by people outside the government to organize a conference, and what came to those attempts. Now, how will we make the Nigerian government to allow for your proposal? So I know you've touched on this before, but I still need some clarifications on that. How do you intend to make the Nigerian government to allow this referendum to take place inside Nigeria without the involvement of a force that will make them to agree to that, say the International Security Council? So how do you intend to do that?
The whole thing is centered on the owner's country. It is something that is being demanded, or an action by the indigenous owners or ethnic nationalities or constituents of the country. The government is only a hired hand. They are just hired. They are not more than the people. This is what the people themselves, what the indigenous. That's why I said there has to be it has to be something that is coming up from the people, and that is why it is an action. It's a multi-regional action consisting of the Middle Belt, the Southwest, and then the Lower Niger area, which is the Southeast and the South, so-called. So it is not a question of begging government. It is the people themselves that are going to demand it. It's the people that are going to demand it. It's not violent. It's not something that is going to erupt into violence. The people involved, citizens, you and I.
And how far have you gone with this arrangement? How far
I'm saying that this thing would have taken place in March, in first quarter of 2020. However, the pandemic kind of put torpedoed it. But now I think it's coming back very, very soon. The conveners, they are working tirelessly on that, and in a matter of weeks, everything will be unveiled. You know how they say it, Daniel, in Igbo proverb, that something that you wrapped up, that you want to unveil. There's no need pinching it. That's the Igbo proverb. I'm sure you understand what I mean by that. It is coming up, and
in a matter of weeks, you said.
Yes, in a matter of weeks.
And that will happen in Nigeria or outside Nigeria?
Of course, it's going to be in Nigeria. It's not.
You have muted yourself. Yes.
Sorry?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Is any other person wanting to ask a question? Otherwise, we'll start bringing the interview to a close. It's been a very interesting. Okay, we have a hand there, Mr. Abase Ilikan. Please unmute yourself. If you want to make a contribution, please make it in less than 1 minute. But if it's a question, please ask your question.
Good evening. Thank you very much. It's Chief Ilikan speaking from Germany. thank Mr. Dr. Iroanya for his lecture. But in fact, we have talked so much about this affair of Nigeria restructuring and I think we are speaking too much. I agree with Dr. Ironya that the change or restructuring or changing the constitution is the matter belonging to the people of Nigeria. There's no question of begging anybody. But the work is how to get the West, the Niger Delta, the lower, whatever you call them, the ethics, the Middle Belt people together. Now Salfari people, the House has themselves. That is what the work is. How do we get these people together? And that is where I would say, Dr. Iroanya, you get your people together, mobilize them, and then link up with the West. If the West are ready to move, then we move. The Southeast, we move. That is the thing. But it seems that all our people, including, or including whatever you may call them, including the Anifere and all whatever, they are speaking grammar. Let them start and mobilize people to wake up. Be it in the church, tell people tomorrow we are meeting at the stadium. And the federal government must listen, whether they like it or not. They are in the minority. Why must we be going round, talking every day the same thing, the same story? We are not ready. That's the thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Let me say that before you proceed.
Yeah, do you have a response to that?
Yes. Thank you very much, Chief Abasi. I just want to affirm, I agree with you, what you said, but what I want to add to that is it has come to that point where these blocks have come together. They are together right now. And this, in fact, if not for the pandemic, we shouldn't even be having this conversation. If not for the pandemic, what we should be talking now will be, setting date for the referendum. I can tell you that, because when that force majeure comes, in a matter of a couple of months, we'll be talking about referendum date. But because of the pandemic, the whole thing kind of went haywire. So to clarify more on what Chief Abasi said, the blocks are together now, very much together now, and they are going to act as one and in pushing this agenda forward. And that is coming in a matter of weeks, I can assure you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from our listeners?
Yeah, I have a question, or I have something to say.
Okay. Do you want to turn on your video, or you are fine to speak anonymously?
I don't know how to do that, and it's dark here. I'm talking from Germany.
Okay. Go ahead then.
Okay, my name is Ife. I thank you, and I thank every person around here. Some people will be, criticizing and saying, these people, they carry fire all along, and they have been there speaking long grammar for 20 years or 21 years or so. Nigeria is a complex country, and I bet that everyone is fed up with that country called Nigeria. And this task is a very difficult one. And I must say that all of us must get involved. All the media houses have to speak up on this issue of constitutional force majeure, because it is not a task of Dr. Clifford Iroanya or Elombah. It is for all of us. Most of us are outside the country, and we are seeing what is happening and what is going on. And we just leave it, let them do it. It is in our hands. Because if we don't get it done, then they will get it done for us. And all of us must stand up and say no to that. Countries like Germany, there was a time there was East and West Germany. But they stood up and said, no, we have to come together as one country. And some people know that country as Germany, but they know themselves as Federal Republic of Deutschland. They say it's Bundesrepublik Deutschland. And then they made their own constitution. And that constitution is paramount to respect human dignity and human rights. But in Nigeria, do they even have any constitution? I see Nigeria as a country without a governmentless country. There's no government there. And look at all that is happening. Nobody is happy, and nobody, I assure all of us here, that nobody can be proud of that country. So what I am saying in summary is this task is for all of us, and it requires a lot of funding, because when it comes to funding money, every person just goes in and sit down. Let them do it. Let them carry that file. Nigeria is very complex, and the people there are very complex. All these things, they are very simplified by the way this man, Dr. Iroanya, and the Secretary General, they have been going around, discussing it and explaining it. It's very simple to understand. But many times we see ourselves as, uncultured people with no culture of reading and understanding. So my question to Dr. Iroanya is, who has been sponsoring? I mean financially, because we have to say it the way it is. Financial, because it requires a huge amount of money. How do you get sponsored financially? That's my question. Thank you, and God bless every person.
Thank you very much. Dr. Iroanya, do you have any response to this as well? You have muted yourself. If you can unmute yourself. Okay.
Yeah, you muted me.
Okay.
I had to, so okay. All right. Thank you very much, Sister Ify. You see, Dan, I actually didn't want to go into this area, but now that I'm being forced to say it, I have to say it. When things come into issue of money, it begins to draw up all kind of conjecture, suspicion, and statement. To be honest with you, the activities of the Lower Niger Congress have been funded by very few individuals who have been touched by the quality of work and the logic behind the proposal. There was no monthly contribution or any levy or any defense fund or anything at all. It's just voluntary payment. And at this point, I must be frank to you, we have, come to the point where we run out of money. So it's actually a difficult time. And the thing is, we don't want to fall into that that very trap of, they are using it to make money, or the money is going to go into Tony Nadi's pocket or Iroanya's pocket. We just don't want to start modeling bringing money issue now that we are almost at the point. But I must say this, we actually need funding now. A really good need. The constitutional force major is going to cost nothing less than $60,000 to $100,000. No naira. I'm telling you this. And we don't even have a dime now. But like I said the other day, I was being interviewed. I said, I'm a man, I believe in God. I know that somehow, somewhere, God will touch the heart of some people to support. But for us to go, announcing, contribute monthly due, do this, we don't want to, because we don't want to We just want to take money or fund everything out of the way and, you know, concentrate on the key issues. But the thing is, the reality is staring us in the face is that you can't do this without money. Let me give you an example. The Freedom Park Proclamation we talked about. One page of a newspaper is 500,000. And you talk about 2 pages, that's 1 million there. And if you want to put it in 3 newspapers, that's 3 million naira already. Just newspaper only. Not the venue you are going to hire. The people that will come there, they have to be, you know, taken care of. And the TV and all that will carry it live and everything. So it's going to cost a lot of money. But again, we don't want to put ourselves in the situation where they see us that, oh, we are using it as avenue for making money. And so, like I said, I'm a man of faith. I know that it's going to touch some people to support us financially. $60,000 is not 60,000 naira. That's some good amount of money there. So, but going back to the question of EP, this funding has been this organization has been supported financially by a few individuals. I want to say this, and I'm not saying it to look like I am revealing a secret that some I'm not supposed to do. You know that this thing has got to the point where Tony Nadi himself has to even dispose of some of his, you know, properties to support this financially. He has gone to that extent, and some of us also very few. So we don't want to present money. We want to let the individual, let your conscience do the work. If you think you can support us, fine. But I have a feeling that somewhere along the line, God will bring people, men and women, who will support us financially. But right now, we don't have any money, anything in our coffers, and we are not mandating or taxing anybody or imposing any levy. We just want the people to freely support. I hope I've answered that question. I don't know, Daniel. I don't know if
yes, of course. I think you touched on the question presented by Ife, and we thank her actually for bringing this question up, and you have done justice to it. That is the much we are going to take tonight, and we thank everyone who has been with us tonight on this discussion about Nigeria at Crossroads. Is it time for dismemberment? We will welcome you once again. Our next program will be on Tuesday. We will have another guest to discuss a different topic, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you very much, Dr. Clifford Iroanya, for being with us for more than 1 hour. And we once more apologize to all our guests for the rude interruption we have during the meeting. Thank you for being with us tonight, and we thank all of you. Thank you, and have a good day.
Thank you.